Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our second episode of our Ask a Legend series with Norm Foster. I'm Emily Oriold, the artistic producer of the Foster Festival, and joining me, as you can see, live tonight is Norm Foster. How you doing, Norm?
I'm doing fine. I was just noticing in the video we ran before we started here. I missed that so much. I miss all those actors and doing that. Oh boy, that's great.
Me
That's
too.
great memories. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. When I was putting the video together, I was absolutely reflecting on all the seasons past, and
Oh yeah, so nice. Jeez.
the
Yeah.
laughs and the great artists we got to work with, and of course all of your world premieres. I can't wait until we get to do it again.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So I invite everyone tonight in the comments to please post any questions that you might have for Norm or myself about the Foster Festival, about Norm's writing, any of those things, and we will pop them up as they come in.
Yeah.
But to get us kind of started, I thought I would start with some questions that were pre-submitted actually before we did this episode by fans. So I'm actually going to start with a question from my sister. She sent one in. And she wanted to ask you a question about other writers. So when we were driving back from Nova Scotia many years ago, we popped into Fredericton to visit you on our way home. And at that time, you gave her a book, and it was called The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. Yeah, you gave her that book, and I know you read a lot, and she absolutely loved the book. But her question for you is, has there been another author or just a storyteller in general that has influenced you in any way in your writing?
In my writing, I'm not so sure. I'll tell you, a Canadian writer I like is W.P. Kinsella, who writes a lot of baseball stories, who wrote, if I'm not mistaken, wrote the original Kevin Costner baseball movie. What was it called? Not For the Love of the Game, but the other one where he says, "Hey, Dad, want to play catch?" Field of Dreams. Field of Dreams.
I was no help to you there.
No. My favorite writers, playwrights. I don't know. I like I like plays, not necessarily playwrights. I love Neil Simon's Odd Couple. I think it's very funny. I love David Mamet's Glengarry Glen Ross. Death of the Salesman, my favorite play of all time. So it's not necessarily the writers, but what they write that I really enjoy. Yeah.
That's great. And actually, Lori Littleton just popped in saying Field of Dreams. She helped you out. Thank you, Lori. And we actually
a little message from an old friend of mine, Deborah Kimmett, too. Yeah.
Yes, Deborah. Yeah. And then there's one from Deb Gale as well, our friend Deb, who volunteers with us, saying hello. Nice to see you, Deb, as well. I wish we could see you. You could see us. Yes, please, anyone who's just joining us, please pop up a question if you have a question for Norm or myself about the Foster Festival. But anyway, I'm going to start with another question, Norm, for you. I'm very curious, and I think I've heard you talk about this before, but I never knew the title. And you actually recently shared this title on another interview, so I'd love our fans to hear about it as well. Is there any play that you haven't finished?
You know what? I actually have finished them all, but one I finished and said, "No, I don't like this. I got the whole thing," and no, don't like it. And it was called The Romance Writers of West Texas. And what I did was, when I was in college, I was told by one professor, a writer, who said, "Never throw anything out that you've written. Keep everything." And I did. And so I cannibalized that play, and I used it in a play of mine called Bravada, which didn't go anywhere anyway. I used it Here in the Flight Path, which did pretty good. So I used a lot of the lines and one of the characters in different plays. So, I wound up using it anyway. It wasn't a total waste of time, as it turned out. Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, I know you'll never share it, but I'm so fascinated by it. So we actually have a question from Yolanda Gallant, and she's a big fan as well. And she asked, do you have a favorite character, that either male or female, in your plays? But I asked to share both your favorite male and your favorite female characters from your plays.
Well, oh boy. I got to go for the female character. I've got to go way back to the Melville Boys. And Mary, and Deborah Kimmett, who was just on the screen a while ago, was the original Mary. And when I wrote, this was my second play. and I wrote Mary and the guy Lee. I wrote a love story for them, and I wrote Mary because that was the woman I wanted to be with. Mary, me, Norm Foster, wanted to be with Mary.
Yes.
And so I wrote her like that, and so she's probably about my favorite female character. My favorite male character, maybe not he's probably David Kilbride on a first name basis, because he's a lot like me, only he's smarter. He talks more better than I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very intelligent, but I had fun writing him because he shares a lot of my views, but I sort of mask them in him, and I get to say things about poets and about different things. So yeah, he's probably my favorite male character. Yeah.
That's actually, for me as an audience member, a lot of fun. I always try to guess in your plays, or I think of how much fun it must be when you're writing these plays to sneak in your views, the views that you might not, that you might not publicly say as Norm Foster, but
by the same token, it's also good to take an opposing view.
Yes.
And then throw that in there and think, oh, people go, oh, wow, what's he saying? That's awful. Well, it's not me, it's him. It's him that's saying it. Yeah. That's
great. And we just got Catherine here saying thank you so much for answering her question about your writer, being influenced with Field of Dreams. And now Deb has a question here. Have you ever written a sequel to one of your plays?
Oh man, a sequel. A sequel. I don't think I've written a sequel that means that it continues the story. I don't think so. I wrote a play called The Foursome, about four guys golfing, and I had a friend of mine, an actress, say, why don't you write one for women? And so I did. I wrote The Ladies' Foursome, and it was a whole different story. I used two lines that were the same, so it was sort of paid homage to myself,
Yeah.
But yeah, I wrote The Ladies' Foursome because a friend of mine asked me to do that. But I don't think I've written a sequel. No, I haven't. No.
Well, to satisfy, as you and I were discussing actually recently, so a lot of people have been asking if you're going to write a sequel to Come Down from Upriver and call it Come Up from Downriver. But about those
I used
characters.
to tour in a play of mine called On a First Name Basis. I would act in it. And people would say, why don't you write a sequel? And I say, no, it's for you to figure out what happens to these two, whether they get together in the end as a romantic couple. So that, I'll leave it up to the audience to figure it out.
Yeah. But it shows you how much the audiences fall in love with the characters that you write. They really want to see more of them. And
that's really sweet. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. We have a hello here from Diane Wilson.
Oh, hi, Diane Workman. Yes, of course, I know Diane.
Yeah. And here's a question from Lou Bradley. Do you golf yourself? This is funny.
Listen, that's a whole nother story. I don't know if that's a whole nother thing. There's no such word as nother. I was a golf fanatic, about maybe 15 years ago, maybe a little more. And then I moved from Fredericton to Toronto. And I lost interest in golf. One, because it was so crowded all the time when you went golfing. It took so long, and it cost so much. And I just gave up on the game. So I quit golfing, and I didn't golf for years. And then I came back to Fredericton, and a friend of mine recently said, "You should go out and golf with us this summer." And I said, "Yeah, I think I might get back into it. And maybe I can play tennis and golf, and do both." And so I took my driver out in my backyard, which is right out here. Took my driver into my backyard, and I took a swing. And I said, I don't want to do this again. I said, I got to hit the ball, then I got to get in my cart, and I got to drive. I got to hit it again. I don't want to do that. So the next day, I put my clubs on Kijiji, and I sold them. And that was it. That's the end of my golf. But at one time, I was a real golf fanatic. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. I learned how to golf. I started, I think, when I was around 12 or something like that. And I actually did it through my teen years. But then, yes, I got bored of it. And there were other things I wanted to do. But then I quickly realized I should pick up the game again when Darren and I got together, because he was going golfing with my parents all the time. And I thought, I don't want to see them. I better pick up the game.
I'll tell you, there isn't a time when I don't drive by a golf course and think, thank God I don't golf anymore. I just paid myself 4 hours,
So It's a big chunk of your day. On that note, which you could be doing instead is drinking something. So what is your beverage of choice today, Norm, from our good friend Terry Barna?
Well, it's beer, of course. My son recently got a job as a beer rep, a local craft brewery called Pump House. So that's my beer of choice because he delivers it to me all the time. It's Canadian Cream Ale by Pump House. That's my beer of choice right now. Yeah.
That's excellent.
Hi, Terry.
Oh, and here's Robin saying hi too. Hi, Robin. Nice.
Hi, Robin. Nice to see you.
Well, we can't see you. We keep saying that. We see your pictures.
Yeah.
So I have another question for you. Outside of an experience of one of your own plays, going to see one of your own plays, what was either the most memorable or your most favorite experience in a theater seeing a show? Which one, if you can?
Outside of mine?
Yeah, outside of your own. Do you see any outside of your own?
Yeah, I took my daughter to see Wicked, and we loved that. She's a big musical fan, and I thought it was great too. And again, I saw in a small theater in Toronto, I saw a group of actors doing Glengarry Glen Ross, and I was really impressed by that. I think it's where I first fell in love with that play. Didn't know what I was going to see, so I think that was a memorable evening in the theater for sure. Yeah. And here's Nora. Hi, Nora. Hey, Nora, NM.
Yes, Nora was in Renovations for Six with us, and Agnes, right? She was there. Agnes. Yeah. It's nice to see her with us, Nora. Oh, and Robin has a question here about musicals. Do you have a favorite musical?
Oh, you know what? Off the top of my head, The Music Man.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, I saw it, first saw it as a movie with Robert Preston. And I thought, oh man, this is great. He's terrific. And I probably watch it once a year whenever it's on TV. I got to watch this. So I watched it. But it'll be The Music Man for sure. Yeah.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So, so you live in Fredericton, New Brunswick. Some people know that, some people do not. What is it about the East Coast that has drawn you back again? Because you were there for many years. You came back to Ontario. Now you're back out there. What is it about it that you love so much?
Well, I grew up just outside of downtown Toronto in Scarborough. And then I moved away when I was about 20, moved to Thunder Bay. And so that was a smaller town. Moved to Winnipeg, that was smaller. Kingston, smaller still. And I fell in love with it. I mean, Winnipeg's not that small, 500,000, maybe 300,000. But I like the feel of the small town. I feel more relaxed in a smaller area. I think I write better when I'm relaxed in a smaller area. A lot of my plays are set in small towns.
Yeah.
So I think I have a certain feel. And moving in the Maritimes, when I came out here, I hadn't been to the Maritimes. I hadn't been east of Montreal. I was offered a job out here, so that's why I came out here in the first place, 1979. And I fell in love with the place. Just fell in love with it, and the people. And I still have, the same friends that I garnered when I arrived here in 1979. Same friends. There were a couple of them over here yesterday. I'm sitting on my deck. So it's the people, it's the pace, and it's just something I really love. Something I love about it. Yeah.
That's great. We actually have a couple of, so Lou's saying come to Font Hill because Font Hill is a very small town.
Area, Font Hill. I've been there. It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it too. And I also have an affinity for small towns. I grew up in a hamlet of 300 people, and I lived there my whole life until I moved away to university. And here's Glenn. Glenn's saying, come on, Guys and Dolls.
Oh, Guys and Dolls. Yeah, that's a great musical.
That's a good one too.
Yeah.
Here's another question from Terry. When you see a show you wrote, do you watch what's happening on stage or find yourself watching the audience to see how they are reacting to things? That's a great question.
Yeah, it is. And I watch what's happening on stage because I'm quite frankly, I'm as entertained by the actors as the audience is. And somebody once said, a friend of mine, David Nairn, said, nobody laughs at Foster like Foster. And I do. I sit in the audience and I guffaw. I think this is great because I love what the actors are doing up there. I'll tell you, when you write a play, the actors will lift it up 100% from what you had imagined. At least in my mind, they do. And so I love watching the actors work on stage. And it's like I'm seeing it for the first time. It's so I enjoy watching what's going on stage and not necessarily what's happening in the audience. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. I absolutely know when you're in the audience.
Sometimes it's embarrassing, people, laughing over there at his own stuff.
Oh no, I think it's, hey, if you can't take joy in your own work, no.
Really?
Yeah. There's so many great questions coming in now in comments. Lou's just asked as well, 2021, will we ever see you live back in St. Catharines? Do you think you might travel back here?
Definitely. If all goes according to plan, if we have our 2021 season, I'm going to be there for most of the summer and might even be on stage. So yeah, I'm going to be there a whole lot. I love St. Catharines. It's a great area. Yeah.
It really is. Niagara's a fantastic place to spend the summer as well. Yeah. And Janice here is saying she lived in Charlottetown for a year, and hearing you talk about it, she's thinking it might be a great idea again. So I know Darren and I did a show.
Cities in the Maritimes. Charlottetown is fantastic.
Yeah. PEI is gorgeous. Darren and I did a ballad of Stomp and Tom there for the entire summer, and it's a beautiful place to spend.
It really is. Yeah.
And Lori has a question here. When you watch a play, are you focused on the words? She writes, and she finds that she's drawn to the language.
Let me see. I am. I think I am. I want to see if people are talking the way real people talk. Nothing takes me out of a play faster than a language that people don't talk like that. They just don't talk like that. And so nothing takes me out of a play faster than that. So I do watch the language, and if I'm watching a play and I don't think about the language, I know it's got me, because I'm thinking about the story, what's going on, not how it's unfolding, as not how it's being told. Yeah.
I actually, when I saw Darren and I saw Come From Away in New York City, and we realized by the end of it that it was over. We were leaning forward, just totally absorbed in that story.
It's great. That's a great musical. Yeah.
It was fantastic. Okay. Here's another one from Janice. I saw you last year in Hilda's Yard. Do you love acting in your plays?
Yeah, I do. I really do. It's nice to be up on the stage and hear the audience reacting to something you've written. Hilda's Yard was a lot of fun. I've been touring in a play of mine called Jonas and Barry in the Home for the last 4 or 5 years, and I love doing that show too. It's I love hearing the audience's reaction. It's great. So yeah, I love it. I always say that the writing for me is the work, and the acting is the fun. So that's how it is. Yeah.
That's great. Sorry, I lost here it is. If memory serves, you once worked in radio. This is kind of a funny question. Will we ever see a radio station play? Norm?
As a matter of fact, it's funny you should ask that, because I just finished a play called Wildly Romantic, which is set in a radio station.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I didn't write a play set in the radio station because of WKRP in Cincinnati, the television series that was on. I thought that series was so bang on. You think you watch that series, you think, oh, that doesn't happen. Every character in that series I've seen in a radio station, everyone. So it's so I didn't write a radio play because of that show. And then I got an idea last year for a play I wanted to write. I thought I should set this in a radio station, and I did, and I think it turned out pretty well. It's a 4-character play. It's a romantic comedy, and it's called Wildly Romantic, and it'll be done next summer somewhere.
Yeah. Somewhere. Yeah. I mean, it was supposed to premiere at the festival in 2020 and unfortunately didn't get to do it, but who knows? Hopefully we or somebody will be able to share it with the public soon. Here's a question for myself. What is one of my goals for next year? That's a great question. Thanks, Deb. One of my goals is truthfully just to keep, and this is personally, but also in the Foster Festival as well, just keep things light, keep things fun, have fun. There's been a lot of things, as we know, going on in the world that are hard, and we have to, and we have to pay attention to them. We have to learn about them. We have to be there, but I still want there to be in everything that we do a levity and a fun and a humor to it as well. I think you have to have humor in life as well. So that's one of my goals. Yeah. How about you, Norm, before we get this question up?
Oh, yeah.
What's one of your goals for next year?
I think that's a good, people always ask me, say, I guess you're going to write a play about COVID now, right? I said, that's the last thing I want to write.
Yeah.
You will never see a play where that's mentioned, written by me, I'll tell you that. I want to go back to what I was doing before this, what they call the pause. Writing, my writing over the last 10 years, I think, has gotten better because I think more about making it smart, making the comedy smart, and not just throwing lines out like I used to. I mean that's not easy either, but I just want to make it smart and so the laughs surprise the audience. But so my goal is just to keep writing, keep doing what I've been doing, and keep getting the plays produced and be successful as I can.
That's excellent. Yeah. That's what we want. We want to just keep doing what we love to do. Okay, if you were a character on WKRP, who would it be? Great.
It'd be Johnny Fever. It'd be Johnny Fever for sure. I did a morning show for like 20 years, and that's what he did, right? Johnny, yeah, for sure. He'd be the guy. Yeah.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And so for some people out there who don't know your origins and your whole beginning of theater, do you mind just sharing a little bit of how you got started?
Yeah,
in theater as an actor and a writer. Actually,
I was working I had never even, I wasn't interested in theater at all until I moved to Fredericton in 1979. I think I was 30 years old, and a friend of mine who did sports in the morning on the radio with me was going to audition for a production of Harvey. I think her name was Mary Chase. That's who wrote it, Mary Chase, I think. Hope I'm right. Anyway, it's a classic play. I made it into a movie with Jimmy Stewart, but the guy who has a 6-foot invisible puka as a friend. So I said, no, I don't want to audition. I don't know anything about plays. And he said, well, come on along, just give me moral support. So I went to this audition and sat in the back, and everybody auditioned. And the director said, a guy named Alvin Shaw, director said, you going to audition? I said, no, I don't know anything about theater. He said, well, you're working radio, right? I said, yeah. He said, well, you must know how to read, so come on down and read. So I went down and I read, and I got the lead. I got the Elvin P. Dowd role. I thought, wow, pretty neat. And we put the play on. I was terrified, of course, just terrified. I learn all these lines, and I got to say these things. But it went really well, and I thought, I'll do another one. I think I did Barefoot in the Park after that, and then I did Arsenic and Old Lace. And then I thought, maybe I can write one of these. And so I did. I wrote one, and it got produced by the amateur group. And then the local artistic director of the professional group, Theatre in New Brunswick, Malcolm Black, said, the next time you write a play, if you write another play, let me see it first. And I said, okay. So I wrote a play, a little farce called Sinners. And I said, I called Malcolm. I said, look, I've written this play. He said, well, come on to my office. I want to meet with you. So I went to his office, and I had the play, and I said, here it is. He said, read it to me. I said, what? He said, read it to me. I said, there are like 5 characters. He said, read it. Well, read them all. So I sat there, and a cold sweat, and I read the play to Malcolm. And when I was finished, I sat back, and he said, okay, I'm going to do it. And that was it. He put it on, and that's how I got into the professional theater. The next play I wrote was The Melville Boys, and that took off for me, and the rest is history, I guess, is what they say. But yeah, it all started with an amateur group called Theatre Fredericton. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And here you are today working on number 67, I believe.
I never even dreamed that this would be my life, writing plays. I didn't have any, I just stumbled into it by accident. A lot of those things I've done have been by accident. I've been lucky, very fortunate to meet the right people, and helped along, on the way by good people like Malcolm Black, Alvin Shaw. Alvin Shaw was the first director who told me the format of a play. Said, you do this. Here's the denouement. Here's the climax. You do this. This is how you write it. I go away and write it. So yes, I've had a lot of help along the way. Yeah, it's been great.
I've heard you also describe your writing before, because people ask you how easily does it come to you? And you've described it very recently as it's almost like somebody's behind you talking, saying these people need to. Oh, yeah, I love that.
I'll be writing. I'll when I write, a good day for me is writing 7-8 pages a day. That's a good day. The other day I wrote 6 pages. That was great, Yeah. But when I'm writing and I get on a roll, it's like sometimes I'm surprised by what the characters say. Oh, that's funny. That's really funny. And I think, where did this come from? And it's like the characters or somebody's up there talking. Okay, he'll say this and he'll say this. I don't even think about it. I just write it down. And I'll write a funny line. I think, oh wow, where did that come from? You know, so it's like I'm channeling somebody else. I don't know how it's happening, but I don't take credit for all of the writing. Somebody else is helping me out from somewhere. I don't know, but yeah. And it's really when I write a play now, I used to map it out from start to finish. What's going to happen? What's going to be in this scene and that scene, and then when I got more confidence, I started to just think of the story idea, where I wanted it to start and where I wanted it to end, and I would let my characters take me to the end and see it. And I didn't know how I was going to get there, but it was that was the fun part. It was not knowing how they're going to take me there, and get to the end. And sometimes I'd say, no, that's not how it should end. I'll change the ending that I had in mind because the characters had taken me somewhere else. So yeah, I'm now when I sit down to write a play, I'm confident that it's going to be finished and it's going to be pretty good. So I had that confidence, which is very important. You don't want to second guess yourself or have any self-doubt as a writer. To do that, you got to have first of all, you got to have a thick skin for the critics. You don't even listen to critics. You have a thick skin. Secondly, you got to have a lot of self-confidence to think that what you've written is pretty darn good. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's my key, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a great lesson for everyone in anything. Just make your choices, have confidence in them, and you got to filter. You got to filter out that other stuff, the negative stuff. Here's another great question about your writing. Do you discuss your developing character when you're developing your characters with anybody else when you're writing? No. Or just all you?
It's all me. I don't discuss it with anybody. Let me see. I sometimes, on occasion, I'll send if I finish the first act. Say, here, I'll call up somebody. You want to read this? A writer or a director friend of mine, read this, see what you think. And they'll give me, they'll say, oh, it's great. Yeah, I love this character, blah, blah. But I won't, just like you say, you filter. You don't take any suggestions from them if it's not what you had in mind. If it doesn't make your story better, then that's not the direction I wanted to go, and I'm going to keep going this way. Again, that's a self-confidence you got to have. But it's nice to hear when you're writing a play. It's nice to hear somebody say, "Oh, that's great. It's coming along great." Yeah,
that's good.
That's all you're doing. You're trying to get your morale boost. That's all. Yeah. If you don't like it, now you're an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to talk to you. Here's another writing question. Do you ever write new characters for a play with particular actors in mind for those characters?
I have done that. I have. Back when I wrote a play called The Love List, a friend of mine, an actor, John Dolan, and another actor, Jerry Franken, who was no longer with us, unfortunately, they asked me to write a play for them about a love triangle. And I said, okay, that's great. I had two of these, great actors be in my play. That'd be terrific. So I wrote a play called The Love List, and about this woman about these two guys who make a list of for a dating service. The guy makes a list of the 10 qualities he's looking for in a woman, and they send it to this gypsy woman who runs this dating service, and the woman shows up at the doorstep the next day, and she's everything he wanted in a woman. But every time he said, I got to change something on the list. Every time he changes something, she changes too. So it's a fun role for the actors because she turns on a dime. He says, oh, she's I need a sense of humor. Boom, she's a funny woman, and she turned. So I got the idea to write that play for these two guys, and then I was sitting and I was stuck in the play. I didn't know. I got halfway through, and I was talking to a friend of mine named Chris McCarge, and I said, "Boy, I'm really stuck in this play, Chris. I need something that's a twist." And he said, "Make her a fantasy. She's not real." I said, "Oh, great idea." So I made it that she wasn't real, that she just showed up out of nowhere, and it made the play really made the play work well, and it's done really well for me, and I like that play, and I like the characters, the good parts for all three actors, and I really like that play a lot. Yeah.
That's great. Thanks, Harold, for that question, by the way. That was a great question. Do you ever think about the backstories of your characters? Do you go think about that first and develop them before you hit the keyboard?
No, I don't think about that first. I think about that as I go along.
Right.
I go along and I add, okay, he's going to be his father. Like today, I'm working on a play that's set in 1812 right now. And one of the characters today I was writing, and he said, one of the characters said, where's your father from? And I said, okay, I'm going to make this father. His father's from Italy, and his mother's from Africa. And the next scene, I thought, okay, well, I'm going to give. He's going to teach his friend. He's going to Italian. So his friend is taking Italian lessons now. It's set in New Brunswick. So I make the backstory up as I write the play. I just add stuff, layer stuff in, and that's the fun part of it. Yeah, that's fun too.
That's really neat. A lot of people don't know. I mean, some do. Many of your fans know, but your shows are produced all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the furthest you've traveled to see one of your shows?
Probably San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah, San Francisco. I got invited to see a show out there. I've been invited to go to Moscow and see one of my shows.
Yeah.
And I said, no, there's no way I'm going to get shot down over Soviet airspace. So I didn't go. I was honestly afraid to fly to Moscow.
Wow.
So I've been invited to go to Moscow. If somebody invited me to go to the United Kingdom, like Ireland, Scotland, Great Britain, I'd be there in a heartbeat. Yeah.
Yeah.
But some places, I'm just not interested in going. I'm sure Moscow's a beautiful place, but not for me.
No. And you actually have plays running indefinitely in Warsaw, correct? In Poland.
Warsaw, I'm huge in Warsaw. I don't know why I did, but a friend of mine who lived in Mississauga is Polish and is a director in Warsaw, and he translated a bunch of my plays and directed a bunch of them there, and they went from Warsaw, and people in Germany saw them, so now they're being done in Germany, being done in Belgium, and it took off for me, and it all started in Warsaw. So I don't know how they found a play of mine in Moscow. I don't know how that got there. Who knows? But I get a lot done. I was talking to somebody in New Zealand who's doing a play of mine in October in New Zealand. I get a lot done in Australia. So I've been pretty fortunate for sure.
Do you know how many languages your plays have been translated into? No.
No, I don't know. No.
That's neat. I'm just going to ask if there's any more questions from our viewers before we wrap up. I mean, this has been excellent, Norm. Thank you so much.
Fun. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I love these conversations. How long? My question. Are you just going to keep writing and writing and writing? And do you see yourself ever saying, "That's enough, I'm done"? Do you have a goal?
Is he going to keep writing and writing and writing?
He's going to keep doing it.
Really?
No. I mean, I'm very grateful that you continue to write.
People say, "Oh, you want to write a movie?" Or I said, "No, you know what? I am so comfortable writing on the stage, and I'm so grateful that theaters put my plays on. That I'm in a groove. I've been in a groove for like 20 years. This is what I want to do, and that's what I'm going to do. I sit down to write. I get up every morning. I used to do the morning show, right? I had to get up at 4:30 in the morning to go to the radio station. So even today, I get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I write in the morning. And I can't wait to climb into this world I've created with these characters and see where they're going to take me on that day. I just can't wait. So it's not. I always say it's not a case of discipline for me. It's a case of I just love doing it because I'm the laziest person in the world. I really am. But I love getting up and writing. I'll write till noon. That's it. And I'm going to lie down on the couch. That's my day. Yeah. So no, I just love writing, and that's why I do it, and that's what I'll continue to do. I'll continue to. Maybe it's a comfort zone I've fallen into. Yeah. I don't want to. I've tried writing a screenplay. That's hard. It's the tabs you got to move and stuff. I don't want to move all the tabs in for the different fonts and stuff. I don't want to do that. So yeah. So it's just I'm quite happy writing stage plays, and that's what I'll keep doing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it is very different. Film and TV is very different. Yeah. Here's another question, actually. Do you see yourself writing another novel?
That's a good question. And I wrote Watching Jeopardy.
Yes.
But I had such fun writing it. But when it got towards the end, I thought, is this ever going to end? It took me 3 years to write. It takes me 4 months to write a play, 4 or 5 months to write a play. If I really bear down, it'd take me 3 months. 3 years to write this novel. I thought, and every time I thought I was near the end, it kept getting further away from me. So I wrote it, and when I finished with it, I liked it, and I thought this would make a good movie. And but I do not want to write another one. It's just too much work. I could write well, I could write 5 plays in the time it took me to write this one novel. Oh boy, it was exhausting.
It's well, it was a good read though. I enjoyed it very much.
I'm glad.
And I mean, and I think that's what's so wonderful about your writing, Norm, honestly, is you can tell you love to write.
Yeah.
You can just, if you didn't love writing, watching your plays would feel laborsome, but they don't. You know? So no, you can tell your heart's in them, and we're very fortunate and grateful for that. Actually,
that's good. Yeah, that's for sure. I do love it. I love it like nothing else. It's great. Yeah.
Is it easier or harder to work with a collaborator when, for example, when you're writing a musical, like you just recently did at the festival with Steve Thomas?
I've been lucky. I've written with Leslie Arden, who's great, and Steve Thomas. Did I write with somebody else? Ooh, I'm not forgetting. I think I wrote with somebody else. I wrote one with somebody else. I don't know. Anyway, that's horrible.
Yeah,
that's horrible.
It'll come to you.
With Steve Thomas and Leslie. Now, I wrote one with Leslie. And she's great because Leslie likes to write the music and the lyrics. Steve, and he would do both too, but I think, hey, Steve, let me write the lyrics. And I like to write the lyrics. So Steve lets me write the lyrics and he puts them to music. And it's so easy working with those two. They're so great. If I have a suggestion, they'll think, well, you're the writer, sure, we'll try and fit that in. But it's a lot of fun. What's fun is to hear your story set to music and to hear your lyrics set to music. And a song can't just appear in a musical. A song has to further the story along, to move the story along. So you keep that in mind when you're writing the lyrics. And it's a whole different beast. But I really enjoy writing musicals. I think I've written 7. I may have written it might be my last one, Beside Myself. Was last year, was it Beside Myself? I think it might be the last one. Yeah. I think 7's enough. I think I finally got one that I wanted. And Beside Myself, that was the best one, I think. So
yeah. Here's a comment from that's my parents. Hi, Mom and Dad. They always say it's great fun to hear you tell your story.
Nice.
I agree. It's you're such a joy to interview, even Norm, or just chat with.
Great.
I've done a few interviews before, and I've always enjoyed talking with you. Yeah. Here's Lou. She's asking if you'll come and have a beer at her new house next summer.
Next summer, I'll be there in a week.
This week he's coming. That's so funny. She also says, thank you so much for sharing your talent with all of us. You've made us all laugh, think, and cry.
Oh, that's sweet. That's what I try and do too. That's great. That's nice to hear that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I think if there's not, I don't see any other questions quite coming in right now. This has been such a joy speaking with you. As I said, Norm, it's always so much fun. Thank you for sharing your work with us. All of us that are fans, I'm a huge fan, as you know. It's been a delight working with you over the years too.
Hey, the Foster Festival's going, right? You started the whole thing. Yeah.
Well, on that note, actually, how does it feel to have a whole festival dedicated to your work? I mean,
the first year was really humbling. It was humbling. It was frightening. A whole festival, based on my work. And then after the second year, I'm getting used to this. Third year, I love this. This is great. So it's really neat. You walk, when you walk down St. Catharines in front of the center there where the theater is, and I think, wow, doing my place, and there's my name, the Foster Festival. That's pretty darn humbling. I'll tell you, it really is sweet. It's great. I think, wow, that's pretty neat. So I'm really excited about it, and I hope we can. And I'll tell you one thing that I'm most proud of about the festival is we do. It's not just the writing, but we do quality work. We hire the best actors, the best designers, the best directors. We do. I think it's a high quality work, and I'm really proud of it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a joy to build the festival. It's been a joy to share your work with new audiences who didn't know about your plays before. You really are a national treasure. You really, really are. And we're so fortunate to have you in this country. So and I look forward to sharing more. And Janice is just saying we love having you in Niagara. Yes, we do.
I love it in Niagara. Yeah, I love it. It's great.
And one more quick question. Do you have a dream actor that you would love to have in one of your plays?
Oh, dream actor. You know what? My favorite actor of all time is Gene Hackman. But I don't think Gene Hackman he doesn't work anymore. I think maybe he may be ill or something. But he's my favorite actor. Years ago, when he was in his prime, he'd be the guy for sure. Gene Hackman in his prime for sure. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'll see if I can call him. We'll see if he'll come up. He'll come work for us.
Michael Caine on the phone. I'll take him too.
Michael Caine, yes.
I love Michael Caine.
Me too. Well, thanks again, Norm. We're going to say bye to everybody now, and appreciate everybody who was watching with us, who asked questions. We look forward to continuing to engage with you. We have one more Tic Tac Foes episode to go, and then hopefully we can start doing some events in person. Wouldn't that be lovely? So stay tuned, and please never hesitate to visit fosterfestival.com to stay up to date. Thank you, and have a good night, Norm. It's lovely to see you. Bye for now.